Let's go ahead and hop in. Welcome to the Too Much to Say podcast, where we have too much to say, episode 16, How to Fix America, Part 1, Get America Out of Debt. We are live on twitch.tv/2M2S. We'd love for you to join us. We are live every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. And we recommend you going back and catching up on the other episodes. If you haven't, obviously this is episode 16, but we got about 19 in the past because we got some sports episodes in there too. We got some stuff about, vaccines. We got stuff about the truth, just anything and everything. What would it take to change your mind? What's the value of truth? What's the cost of truth? We got some movie reviews. Last week was about modern board gaming. If you love what you hear today, I definitely recommend going back and checking those out. But let's go ahead and hop into the weekly random, or as it should be known, the Donald Trump idiocy hour. I got an hour, like 15 minutes. This week was Donald Trump abroad. Donald Trump, as you might know, went to England this week, or I guess last week, and also to Russia. And in the middle of that, he got a nice surprise right before he went to Russia from Robert Mueller. Let's go ahead and hit Russia. Trump said that he felt unwelcome by England because of all the protesting that occurred. I am just hopeful that he saw the glorious Trump baby blimp, which is, if you have not seen it, just magnificent. It is an orange fat baby with Trump hair and blonde, a little tuft of blonde chest hair in a diaper with a snarl on his face. And I think a phone in his hand. Anyway, that glorious blimp flew in the air while our beloved president was protested by the people of England in London because of everything that he stands for. And he actually is going to show his colors. While he was in England, our boy decided to tell British Prime Minister Theresa May that he predicted the Brexit decision while he was at his Turnberry Golf Resort in Scotland the day before the historic vote. The only problem with that is that Trump arrived at Turnberry the day after the vote. And everybody knows it. But this is like one of the things I don't understand about Trump or anybody. And I guess I kind of do. He subscribes to the scorched earth method of lying. If you lie enough, some lies will slip through. If you lie enough, people don't have time, or not everybody has time to fact check every single thing you say. So if you just lie and lie and lie, some of those will get slipped through. And also, for people who want to believe you, they may not even fact check you in the first place. But we know that he, in fact, was not there. And so, like I said, I guess this only comes into the scorched earth method of lying because why lie about this other than to just continue to vomit lies? There's no other reason for you to lie about predicting Brexit and being in Scotland a day early, unless you're either lying or have dementia, which both of those could be true. It could have, you could both have dementia and still be lying intentionally. Um, but to further demonstrate his own idiocy, our boy Trump decided to. You might have seen this. There are pictures of him walking with the Queen, and who he promptly decides to just leave behind and walk in front of as if she's not there. You know, just the Queen of England, just a 92-year-old woman. I thought someone put it best. They said, you wouldn't do this to a 92-year-old woman, any 92-year-old woman at the grocery store. You most certainly wouldn't do it to the Queen as the President of the United States. Unless you're a narcissist, or have dementia, or are a dumbass, which I think he's all three. Just another banner day for our boy Trump in England. Well, while he was, right before he left England to go to Russia, Robert Mueller, special counsel Robert Mueller, and United States hero Robert Mueller, charged 12 Russian intelligence officers with hacking Democrats during the 2016 election. So Trump, you can't publicly ignore it anymore. I know you're going to do that immediately after this when you get to Russia. And I know the saddest part about all this is his supporters don't care. But the truth is there. We know that Russia interfered with our election and helped Trump. And furthermore, we know that Trump asked them to do it publicly. A lot of people have making the great point. What is the difference? What is the difference between doing it privately and publicly? At the end of the day, there really isn't one. It's treason either way. I can't wrap my head around this and how anyone supports this, but they do. And so, anyway, basically they claim, they hacked the Democrats to interfere with the 2016 presidential election, and they stole 500,000 American voters' information. The indictment was lodged by the federal grand jury in Washington, D.C., and accuses the Russian spies of hacking into the DNC and the presidential campaign of Hillary Clinton, with the end goal of influencing the election. It's simple. The only thing they now have to do is to prove that Trump knew about it. I mean, clearly he asked for it. I think they can just check that off. The question now is, did he know? I guess, did he have any confirmation? I mean, obviously he told them to do it. Okay. So that's one set of indictments. The next one is a Russian national has been charged with a conspiracy to act as an agent of the Russian Federation within the United States. This comes actually from justice.gov. It's Maria Butina, 29, a Russian citizen residing in Washington, D.C. And so, yeah, our boy, that's just one more. I mean, that's one more indictment in the Mueller investigation. one step closer to collusion, one step closer to impeachment. I keep saying it. Just you got to stay motivated. When you see him do these things, you have to stay motivated because immediately after this happened, Trump goes to Russia and declines. It doesn't even decline. He straight up says that Russia would. Why would Russia interfere with our elections? He declines to denounce Putin and blamed both countries. He basically threw his own intelligence community under the bus for Russia, saying that Putin denies it, so clearly they didn't do it, despite the fact that the United States intelligence community 100% says they did. It's not like opinion, it's fact. Now, Trump comes back home to the United States and today actually had to renounce his own declaration. He said he misspoke. You misspoke for the last like 2 months? You misspoke 1,000 times every single time you've blamed other people? I mean, he was blaming the Democrats for not protecting their servers. That's not misspeaking, you hypocritical liar. It is, without a doubt, just baffling to me how any of I don't understand. But furthermore, to go one step further on this, why? Because Trump insists repeatedly that America should be friends with Russia, that it would be better for Russia to be friends with, for the United States to be friends with Russia than enemies with Russia. The only scenario where that's true is if Russia changes. Because currently speaking, our goals don't align. I mean, to put it in a sports analogy, it'd be like if the Braves were friends with the Yankees. We're on different teams. We're not trying. The Yankees are trying to win the World Series, and the Braves are trying to win the World Series. We're not going to team up. The America is supposed to be on team democracy, while Russia is not on team democracy. If they'd like to join team democracy, we'd love to have them. We'd love to have China. We'd love to have North Korea. We'd love to have anybody. But you have to align yourselves with our political goals for it to even make sense. It's nonsense just to say, oh, well, we should be friends. Yeah, but Russia's a dick. I mean, I'm not like, if we go into like friendship metaphor, I'm not going to be friends with someone who's a dick. Like, it doesn't make sense for me. I like to make friends with people who are nice. We're not on the same team here. You're not on my team. You're a jerk. Or in this case, you're a dictator with the facade of a president who, is fascist and who puts down his people and doesn't let his people have, actually have a true say. We're not on the same team. We can't be friends. That doesn't mean we have to be like at war with each other. But I mean, when Russia's out there, conquering pieces of Ukraine and bullying people, we're not on the same team. And at the same time, why push away our existing allies? You say it'd be great to be friends with Russia. Why would it not be great to continue to be friends with Canada and with the European Union and with Great Britain and with France and with all these other countries that we're already allies with and who have been fantastic allies? To me, it seems it's pretty simple. That's why it is so baffling. I mean, like I said, we don't have 100% conclusive evidence yet that he has colluded with Russia, but his actions sure point to it, because a lot of the things he does only make sense logically. Now, mind you, this is Trump, so logic, other than narcissism, doesn't really, we can throw it out the window a lot of the case. But his actions don't make sense unless he is working for Russia, trying to pay back a debt or something. Because otherwise, why would you do the things that he's doing? I mean, honestly, I don't know. That's why I look. I want Robert Mueller to take his time, get the evidence, and I look forward very much to his findings. All right, let's shift from the weekly random into the Reddit shower thought of the week. This one comes from user Sandvich18, and he says depression is like reverse cancer. There's so little you want to do, but you have so much time left. Not really a happy thought, but one that makes you think. It, depression is it's a topic that's come up more recently, and people are, I think, as a public and public opinion is learning more about it. I mean, I think us as a as a species is as well, but as a public we're learning more and understanding, and uh, slowly but surely there's less judgment against people with mental health issues. Um, we still have a ways to go, but we definitely, the future is brighter than it was even just a few years ago. The present is brighter than it was a few years ago. So, all right. Well, I told you that this week's topic was how to fix America Part One: get America out of debt. But before we do that, the original topic this week was going to be Donald Trump the movie. Um, but instead of doing that, I'm just going to share with you my titles for said movie, or possible titles, because I kind of thought there, with this, there's kind of like a couple of options. It could either be done like seriously, or it could be funny. I think we're gonna see both eventually. I just think that obviously we have to digest this. There'll be documentaries. I hope that Ken Burns goes in on it, just like he did with the Civil War. Which, if you have not seen the Civil War documentary by Ken Burns, it is amazing. It completely changed everything I knew about the Civil War. Growing up in the South, you know, and the way they frame it's just, you learn so little about it to go, and then it's just like information deluge from Ken Burns. I definitely recommend Ken Burns' Civil War. But so I'm hoping that maybe he would do that, and he would call it Donald Trump or something. We're not getting too spicy with the titles here, but the content's just top notch. But anyway, first title I had was The Annoying Orange, if you remember the YouTube series, but this would be a live action Annoying Orange. The Trumpening, pretty self-explanatory there. From riches to rags to riches to presidency, a bankruptcy fairy tale. Fascism 2, The Electric Boogaloo. Golden Toilet, The Donald Trump Story. We got there's a couple things going on there. Hate Money, and The Treason of Mr. Trump. Now, if you have any others, feel free. I'd love to hear them from you. Hit me up on Twitter at Real Sam Shannon. I would love to hear your titles, or if you like one of mine, just let me know which one you like the most. But I look forward to the day that we get these movies. I think Hate Money would be a really good serious movie. Because I think you could tackle a bunch of things. It wouldn't just be Trump. You'd be tackling kind of the money that brought Trump into power, because it's not like he was underfunded or funding himself. Um, I think there's a whole thing about how America got to where it is, to the point where it would, elect a bigot and a sexist. So I think I think that one, and obviously the treason of Mr. Trump sounds like a Wes Anderson, the Fantastic Mr. Fox, or something like that. But um, at the same time, I would love to see, Golden Toilet, the Donald Trump story. I just love to see it. I want to see it. I think satire or some sort of. I tried. My original goal was to like put together like the plot points and all this, and as I was doing it, I realized it was going. It needed somebody better at this than me. I guess it was going to take me a lot of time to put together a really good plot, obviously, because it's not like writing movies is super simple. But um, that's why I just said I scrapped it and said, all right, let's just do some titles. Um, I had some more outlandish ones, but yeah. If you want to know some of those, just let me know on Twitter. I'll hit you up. Probably in your DMs. They get kind of crazy. But all right. So, how to fix America, Part 1: Get America out of debt. Because quite frankly, the fact that we're not talking about the American debt is mind-boggling to me. If you didn't know, the American debt currently, which is growing, so at it is 8:55 EST. The American debt is 21,213,648,700,000 and change, that keeps growing. I mean, as I've watched it, as we've been talking, it's already grown about 400,000. I just opened it up, so that was 30 seconds ago. Let's see here. Start. That's 100,000. 200,000. 300,000. So that's like 3 to 4 seconds. We go up 100,000. So, or maybe a little bit longer than that, but still, that's 500,000. Like the U.S. debt is out of control. We're at $21 trillion right now, 21.2 trillion, and steadily growing. And that's a million. So, but I mean, quite honestly, the debt is, at the end of the day, simple math. You need to have, less going out than you're taking in to decrease your debt. This is basic economics, basic household economics. In my house, I have to, spend less money than I make, or spend equal money that I make. That's stupid though. As a household, I need to save some money. But as a country, you need to at least, make it, break even. So this is we're gonna touch on a bunch of things here. Not and getting America out of debt is also we're gonna attack a bunch of different pieces of policy, and we're not even gonna go in depth on all of them, because this is just part 1 of how to fix America. I want to cover some of the other ones in more detail at a later date. So number one, so decrease spending. And like I said, this is probably not even exhaustive. These are just some of the ones I have. The number one way I wanted to decrease spending was I wanted to reduce the prison population. Number two. So now, and then the second way would be decrease military spending. So now, those are my two ways I want to decrease spending. So now, how to make more money? We need to increase our tax base. One of the ways to do that would be to increase taxes on the rich. And when I say rich, I don't mean people who even make $250,000. I mean people who make, $1 million a year, $10 million a year. The uber rich. And so one of those things would be actually to add another tax bracket. And I mean, I actually want to do these. I want to go into taxes more later, but that's just one of the things. Right now, the highest tax bracket is 500,000 single, 600,000 married, joint. But I'd like to have another tax bracket at $1 million for joint, and just even across the board, probably million single, million joint. And that would be another tax bracket with increased taxes. And we would reverse what Trump has done. He actually just, made a huge corporate tax cut. The tax cut was, I think, from 32% to 21%. We also have to figure out ways to not have people offshore their. This is for big corporations. They're able to offshore their earnings so they don't pay taxes on them. But I think there's some ways to do that. Like I said, that's not one we're going to go into depth now. That's just a little bit on how to raise taxes. I really want to cover how to increase the tax base. That's just increasing taxes. I don't want to increase taxes on anyone but the uber rich. I don't think middle class and pretty much 250,000 down should see any tax increases. But we need to increase our tax base. So one way we do that, like I said, I want to reduce the prison population. So by doing that, I also want to increase the workforce from the rehabilitated inmates. We'll talk about that in a second. Where I want to tax drugs. I want to let's talk about those individually. So let's go first into prisons. America, we have a punishment fetish, and it's got to end. We believe, and I think a lot of people believe, that one of the reasons people go to prison is to be punished. It's some sort of karma justification, some karma balancing. You did this bad thing, now we're going to punish you to make the world even. Well, first off, punishment does not balance anything. If someone robs me, them going to jail, it really won't make me feel better in the end. That doesn't mean there doesn't need to be something that happens. I'm not saying, but the point is, what we really need to do is rehabilitate that person, especially obviously with violent crimes, but with all crimes. That the whole point of anything should be to make it so that they would never do it again. But hopefully, we can also have a useful member of society. So, what I want prison to turn into is less about punishment. Not that it's not a punishment; it's still prison. We're not going to make it a fucking resort. It's not going to be fun, but it's not supposed to be torture either. It's not supposed to just be, we're going to lock you away, put you in a door, put you in a room, turn the key, lock the door, walk away, and we'll come back and look at you in 15 years. And I know that some places are doing this, but I want prison to be more focused around rehabilitation. I also, um, on a and make it so people. So number one, rehabilitation. We're going to focus on counseling. We're going to focus on helping them gain useful skills. We're going to focus on reintegrating them into normal society. That should be the goal of prison. That should be the goal of punishment. We want this person who made a mistake, might have an issue, to be able to return to society and function. It almost, it doesn't matter what the crime is. That should be the goal. We're not. America has for a long time been beholden to a Puritan mentality. We see this in our economics. We see this in prisons, that basically that God loves you more when you do the right thing. Well, first off, we shouldn't be legislating anything based on of religion. So, but that you're a better person. You as a person are more valuable, inherently more valuable than another person if you do the right thing. If you make more money. If you work harder, you're worth more as an individual. This has engendered this punishment fetish that if somebody steals, we need to lock them away. They need to be punished for 15 years or whatever the length of it is. And then what happens is they go away for 15 years and they come back and they're a worse person than they were before and they're unemployable. What we should be doing is we should be locking them away, absolutely, but we should help them reform. We should help them learn useful skills, maybe become plumbers, become electricians, become mechanics, get an education. And yes, I am saying that we should pay for an education for inmates. And at the same token, I would want this for our regular citizens. I'm not saying that regular citizens should be, the inmates should be treated better than regular citizens. I'm just saying that inmates should, this is something that we should have for inmates because we need to have these people. We will be a stronger America if we can rehabilitate our inmates. And if we can't rehabilitate them, then we will do our best to accomplish it. And they will serve the entire length of their prison sentence, and then they will come out afterwards. And if they do it again, they'll go back in and we'll try again. But I think that we'll succeed more often than we fail. I think that people respond better to compassion than they do draconian punishment. It's not that this isn't punishment. You don't get your freedom. You don't get to escape. This isn't, especially violent crimes. Like, we are going to remove you from the population until we feel that you will be safe again. I would be even better for longer, durations of prison sentences, but with the goal of rehabilitation. And to accomplish this, we are going to close and ban private prisons. 100% gone. The fact that private prisons exist in America is asinine. It doesn't make any sense. You have people whose goal is to have people in prison so that they can make money off of the United States government. They have no reason to want to help that person change and become better because they need more people incarcerated. The more people that they can put in their prison, the more money they make. Why would we want anyone incentivized in that way? Private prisons, gone. No question. No questions asked. We will phase them out, and we're going to reduce the number of people that are currently incarcerated. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to legalize and deschedule all well, not deschedule all drugs, but we're going to legalize all drugs and deschedule definitely marijuana. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to, first off, we're going to, like I said, legalize it so not anybody recreational, medicinal, any type of use of marijuana is fine. Obviously, you need to be 18 or older, or maybe even 21 or older. Absolutely. But we're also going to give amnesty to all offenders of the old law. We're also, like I said, we're going to legalize every drug. That's heroin, that's meth, that's ecstasy, every type of drug. Just hold on, we're still going. So we're going to amnesty. So anybody who has been convicted of a crime for drugs would be forgiven. It would be wiped off of their record as if it never happened. That's drug trafficking. That's drug, possession. Not violent crimes. We don't wipe away violent crimes. You doing anything violent in the name of drugs we're not. That's not okay. But all of these people who have felonies on their record for drug possession or drug trafficking are now back into the workforce population because what they did wasn't that bad. Now we might have to help them. There might need to be a little transition phase here where we help rehabilitate them because now they've been stuck in prison for how many years and they don't have any useful skills. So we're probably going to have to slowly bring them back into the population, help them get back on their feet. But so the positives of legalizing drugs is obviously we are going to tax the drugs, just like they do in Colorado. And we're going to use those taxes to advertise against drugs and to fund addiction recovery. Because people who do drugs and are addicted to drugs are not criminals. They need help. This just goes back to the whole punishment fetish. You made a mistake. You're addicted to drugs. We need to punish you. That's not what we're going for here. That's not what we're going for. You made a mistake. You're addicted to drugs. Let's help you come back. Because the more people we can bring back, more people we can have in our workforce is a stronger America. We're not stronger because we shut people down. We're not stronger because we ban people or because we lock them away. That weakens America. Not only are they not being able to produce and participate in the economy, we're paying for them. We're paying for their food, for their housing, to have people watch them, for babysitters. Like, the amount of money that we can save is astronomical just by legalizing drugs. Now, why would this work? Well, why aren't we doing this now? Well, why? We've kind of talked about why we're not doing it, but what you have to understand is that this has already happened, just not in America. It happened in Portugal. Portugal completely decriminalized all drugs. Weed, heroin, everything. And when it happened, it was like mind-blowing. It was huge. When was this? It was 60. Okay, it was 2000. The year 2000. It was huge, and I mean, people. Oh my! Everyone expected the apocalypse, and what they got was the opposite. Portugal's current drug-induced death rate is 3 per million residents, which is more than 5 times lower than the European Union's average of 17.3, according to the EU figures. For less than a fifth, because with legalized. Now, Portugal has really great ideas on this. If you get caught with basically, oh yeah, but everyone thinks that if you legalize drugs, that the number of users is going to skyrocket. That's the number one criticism. Everyone says if you legalize drugs, marijuana, everything, it's just going to go through the roof. With some exception, with this article, this is from Vice. With some exceptions, and I actually saw this on a 60 Minutes once as well. With some exceptions, including a marginal increase among adolescents, drug use has fallen over the past 15 years and now ebbs and flows within overall trends in Europe. Portuguese officials estimate that by the late 1900s or 1990s, roughly 1% of Portugal's population, around 100,000, were heroin users. Today, we estimate that we have 50,000, most of them under substitution treatment. Because here's the thing, it is not simple as just releasing, but they've actually made it to where they've added basically fail safes that if you get caught with drugs, and basically drugs are still illegal in Portugal. Drug dealers and traffickers are still sent to jail. But if you have less than, I think it's 12 days worth of, or like a week's worth. What is it? Here it is right here. Yeah, if you have basically if you get caught with drugs repeatedly, you'll be identified as an addict, and you'll be sent to panels to help them kind of overcome their addiction. So basically, exactly what I said. So it is not as simple as just decriminalizing. I think we could almost take the exact same model as Portugal, decriminalize all of it, tax all of it, but we get these people help because that's what they need. Because addiction is a plague. I mean, it's a sickness of the mind. And I mean, as I've said in the past, I mean, we're making strides when it comes to mental illness, but we're not there yet. And this is one of them. Addiction's one of them. We don't understand it as a population. I think scientists understand it pretty well now, but as a population, we don't accept it. We just view it as weakness. Well, if I was addicted, I'd just stop. Look at anyone who's ever tried to stop smoking. Everyone I know that smokes can't help it. They can't stop. And they've tried, and then they start up again. They try, and then they start up again. We need to get these people help. And by legalizing it, they're not worried about going to jail for trying to get help. And we can tax it, use that money to fund addiction recovery, to advertise against drugs, and to pay off the debt. Because, hold on, I didn't look this up. How much in taxes did Colorado make on weed? There we go. So, in the calendar year of 2014, they made 67 million. 2015, 130 million. 2016, 193 million. 2017, $247 million in taxes. That's one state, one drug in one state. Imagine if it was all of the drugs in all of the states. Billions of dollars. Potentially, I mean, what is that? Assuming it was literally 250 million in every state, that'd be $12.5 billion. That's just for weed. And it might be, it's going to be lower in some states and higher in others. But it'll probably, I mean, California, which actually just legalized, be a lot more probably. It's a huge state. And then add all the other drugs. I mean, we might be looking at somewhere around 50 to 100 billion. And like I said, we're going to pay for addiction recovery. We're going to pay to advertise against drugs. But we're also going to use that to pay off some of the debt. So that we legalized drugs and we added some tax base. All right, the next thing is we're going to legalize prostitution. Yep. And we're going to tax it. And we're going to have the prostitutes register, and we would require testing. But we're going to make it legal. We're going to make it safe. Because right now, if you're a prostitute in the state of Georgia or in any state other than, I think, Nevada outside of Las Vegas, you can't be in Las Vegas. You have to be outside. It's street. You walk the street. They call them streetwalkers for a reason. And you also have to understand, I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. I've never visited a prostitute. This isn't because I want to live some hedonistic lifestyle. Part of it is that I think that human adults should be able to make choices. I think consensual sex for money should be okay. I think it should be regulated. I think they should have to register. I think they'd have to get tested. And I think anybody who is going to go to a brothel should be tested. But we're going to tax this, and we're going to make money off of this. And we're going to use that money to promote and increase sex education in every single state. And you know what we're going to see from doing that? We're going to see decreases in abortions and teenage pregnancies, and probably prostitution as well. Because if you help people understand what sex is, also you have to understand sex isn't like a nasty thing; it's a human experience. And so we're going to use our taxes to promote and increase sex education. We're going to use the taxes to fund the war on human and sex trafficking and slavery. The fact that we're so focused on stamping out drugs, the war on drugs, is beyond me. When there are people that are being bought and sold into sex slavery and sex trafficking, the fact that humans are being moved around as chattel, as property, and that's not the number one thing, is just, it infuriates me. It makes me physically angry that this is happening, and that we're focused on drugs instead of this. So we're going to take the money from legalizing prostitution, and we're going to stamp it out. The war on drugs is going away. There's no more war on drugs. There's a war on human trafficking. We're going to bring that number to 0. As close to 0 as possible. That should be our number one focus. And we're also going to pay off the debt. And because we're legalizing prostitution, we're going to root out one of the places that one of the safe holds. Right now, legal or illegal prostitutes of age, legal prostitutes, consensual, and forced prostitution, they're lumped together because they're both illegal and they both don't want to get caught. Well, it's legal. It would be legal, and we're going to use the money, a portion of the money we get from this, to stamp out human trafficking. It is beyond me that this isn't the number one thing. All right, so we have, and as far as I'm concerned, we will amnesty any prostitute that's ever gotten in trouble is in jail for this as well. Violent crimes against prostitutes, not amnestied. Your ass is staying in jail. Yeah. All right. So right now we have reduced the prison population. We've removed all drug users. We've also removed all prostitutes and drug traffickers as well. So that's decreased a large portion of our prison population, decreasing spending. We have also increased our tax base by taxing all drugs, all the selling of all drugs, and also prostitution. We will tax that as well. And we've also rehabilitated inmates. So we have a whole new workforce coming out of prison, um, who we have rehabilitated and are now functional members of society that are looking for and are getting jobs and are then subsequently being taxed. All right. So the next one is, and this one I know is on the minds of everyone. It's one of the reasons I wanted to include it today was immigration. I feel like illegal immigration, and immigration in and of itself is we just paint it with such a broad brush all of the time. Build a wall. That was Trump. That's the president who won. That was his response to immigration. That's asinine. Whether or not you want immigration or not, that's just stupid. It's not gonna work. There are currently walls. Like it's just a waste of money and time and effort, and only to have it circumvented and to then thus increase. I mean, all it does is make it cost more for these people. They're going to be able to have to pay more to be able to come across, and we're just thus pumping more money into the illegal market of human trafficking. I mean, a little more consensual, but still human trafficking. I actually read a thing. Basically, what happens, one of the things that happens is that people who want to come to America, they're being trafficked. Now, if you can pay your way, that's fine. As long as you have money, you keep giving them money and they'll take you. But the moment you run out of money, generally what they try to get those people to then do is to traffic drugs. It is like a cyclical thing here. The harder we make it for them to get in, I'm not saying it needs to be super easy, but the harder we make it to get in, the more expensive it becomes. And if the people run out, these people aren't like rich anyway. That's why they're illegally coming over to America. The once they run out of money, they now are bringing drugs in. So we're gonna get rid of drugs. Drugs are now legal, and then we're also going to help. We're going to make immigration. We're going to have serious immigration reform. We're not going to build a wall. We're not going to just kick every single illegal immigrant out of the United States. Like people throw that out as an idea. It's not really possible. We're just going to be chasing our tail for now until those illegal immigrants die. And then they die, and I mean, if you catch them after they die, are you going to feel really great when you send their body back over? I mean, just so this is the current plan, and I'm not saying we can't add or change or lot. Same thing with any of these ideas. This is the platform, but it's definitely something it's a work in progress. All of this. But for immigration, what I want to do is provide a legal channel for immigrants who want to come over here to work and who are already here working. We need to help them get legal. We need to have a registry, and we need to have them be background checked, have some sort of FBI clearance with them, and then for the illegal immigrants, we make it, maybe give 1,000 hours of community service. That's kind of their payment for coming over here illegally. And they pay taxes. Going forward, they pay taxes. They're registered. They're going to have an ID. They're going to have a background clearance, and they're going to do their 1,000 hours of community service, and they're going to pay taxes. And we're going to make it a lot easier for these people who come over here to work and can get jobs. I mean, because what you also have to understand is that immigrants in general are less violent and commit less crimes than the average American. You, so this chart. I have a chart. I've shared this chart in the past, but the chart's title, this comes from the Cato Institute, is basically that native-born. This is in Texas. Criminal conviction rates in Texas per 100,000 people. This is in 2015. Native-born, every 100,000, you have all crimes at 1,750 per 100,000. Undocumented immigrants are at 750. That's 1,000 less. And legal immigrants are like 250. And then for homicide, native-born are at like 3.9, and then undocumented immigrants are like 2.9, and legal immigrants are even less, 0.5. This is per 100,000. And then for larceny, the statistics are even more crazy. The native-born, that's us, native-born. That's not immigrants. I mean, that's not immigrants. Those are people born. That'd be me. That'd be, everybody who is a citizen of the United States, born in the United States. You're about 300 per 100,000 commit larceny or theft. For undocumented immigrants, that's somewhere around 70 to 60 to 70 per 100,000, and legal immigrants are even lower, around 20. Like, immigrants are not the cause of crime, and any of that are, especially violent crime, will be deported. I'm not suggesting that at all. It's not like this is just, hey, come to America for free. And let's be honest, all of our community, if we could register all of these illegal immigrants and give them a path to citizenship, and then have them do 1,000 hours of community service, that, imagine all the good we could get done. All the people, all the old people, who could be visited, all the the lawns to get mowed for people who are shut-ins. Like, there's so much good. Habitat for Humanity, like, so much good that we could get done. And it's a win-win for America, because now these people are paying taxes. They're, doing community service, and they're legal. And we make this pathway for people. And we do our best. I mean, we limit our immigration, but we those who do now have a pathway to it. I mean, I think that and we've increased, again, we have now increased our tax-paying population, thus further paying down our debt. Like I said, the debt is simple. We need to decrease spending and increase tax base. We've increased our tax base through drugs, prostitution, and increasing our tax base through rehabilitation of inmates, and also now we have all these illegal immigrants that are now paying taxes. I'm sure we'll cover more of these later, but these are the main ways. If you have, this is part one. It'll probably be a 3-part series. It's not going to be our next week. Next week, I'm actually. This does, however, conclude part one of How to Fix America, or For Too Much to Say podcast. Next week, I'm actually this Thursday. I am going to go see 8th Grade, which is a movie by director Bo Burnham about an 8th grader that is getting amazing reviews. I'm a huge fan of Bo Burnham, have been for a very long time, of all of his comedy. Everything that he's done, and we're basically going to do a retrospective of Bo Burnham next week. We're going to go over 8th Grade, but I am very excited to get an early showing here in Atlanta, and because it actually released last week in New York and Los Angeles, but was not here in Atlanta. So I'm actually going to go this Thursday. and we're going to do a retrospective on Bo Burnham next week. As I'm gonna rewatch everything on Bo Burnham again, and we're gonna talk about like basically where he came from, where he's going. I'm stoked to go see Eighth Grade. I've only heard great things. Um, so that's next week. But we are gonna get back to we're gonna come back. We have lots of stuff to talk about with part two, and this is probably gonna be a three-parter for How to Fix America. There's a lot of stuff. There's huge, the platform is huge. There's so many different pieces to the platform to America that makes us great, and how we can get even better. Um, and if there's anything, hit me up. If you think legalizing prostitution is stupid, let me know. Let me know why you think it's stupid. If you think that legalizing all drugs is stupid, let me know why it's stupid. Um, you can hit me up in my DMs on Twitter, or just straight up tweet at me. That's at Real Sam Shannon. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's 2M2S Pod. And obviously, we are available on any place you can find podcasts. That's iTunes. That's Google Play. That's Stitcher. I think iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. We're also on YouTube. Oh, Spotify, man, I don't know if I forget that. Spotify. All of these podcasts, I take them, I put them on YouTube. We're on here on twitch.tv/2m2s. All the VODs for this are saved there. I run them most of the day, but if you want to see any of the specific ones, I definitely recommend checking them out. There's lots of good content in the past. And if you don't mind, follow, like, subscribe wherever you're catching us. Hit us up with that 5-star rating on iTunes. And we would very much appreciate it. There's only one way that the podcast is going to get bigger, and that's through you. Tell your friends and family, and have a great week. Oh, I guess if you're here in the chat with me, this is when we do our Q&A. This is when I start working on uploading everything. But while we do that, I like to do a little Q&A as well, because I do appreciate you. I appreciate you coming out and supporting the pod, and coming out here on Twitch. So if you have any questions or anything like that, that's the best time to do it, because I can now focus on you a little more than I can during the actual podcast. But then again, if you don't, then I'll just I'll be here a little bit waiting, because I gotta finish uploading the podcast. um. All right. Oh. All right, that's going. There it is.